Welcome to The Happy Nurse, the podcast that encourages nurses to offer themselves the same compassion that they so freely give to others. I am Elaina, a registered nurse on a mission to reduce burnout in nursing. Let's jump in. Hi everyone, I'm back. This is Elaina here, the Happy Nurse. There's been a bit of a hiatus for the last 18 months or so, but I'm really excited to be back recording content for you all. Today I am joined by my beautiful friend, Michelle Powell. Those of you who are seasoned listeners will know Michelle very well by now because she's on the podcast regularly. Her and I tend to have some really amazing chats. So I thought, why not start off the new season with the lovely Michelle? Michelle is a trauma coach. She specializes in trauma and mental health. She has written a book called The Mastery of Wellness. I believe there may be another one in the pipeline as well. She specializes in equine therapies, breath work. She is a clinical hypnotherapist. She's got a whole array of skills. I'll let her tell you more about them herself. Welcome back, Michelle. It's so good to be chatting to you again.
I cannot wait to see where we end up this time on our magical verbal road trips.
That's a good way of describing them, actually.
Exactly.
I love that. So I've obviously been not AWOL, but out of action for the last 18 months. Lots of things changed in my life very suddenly. And I decided to put the podcast on the shelf for a while, but being brutally honest, I really missed it. So here I am back again. I've changed my roles again at work because all of last year I was in a management role at work and I went back to nursing full time. And I've realized it's not for me. I had to start practicing what I preach because I could feel myself burning out again. So yeah, had to make some changes. I'm now back in the coaching space and I'm also just doing a few hours a week at the hospital as well to keep my clinical skills up. So it's really great to be back with you all. I must say a massive gratitude and thanks to Michelle. She has kept the Happy Nurse Community Facebook group running for me, keeps on posting, just kept that group alive. So thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate your support over the last 18 months.
You're so welcome, lovely. And I actually think the way you've gone about, this last year and a half has actually been a beautiful way of demonstrating what self-care looks like when there's way too many things on your plate and you're going, holy hell, I cannot handle this anymore, and something has to give. Things have to be taken off the plate, and there's certain things that can't be taken off the plate. There's certain responsibilities. You're a mother, you have two beautiful boys. Like, there are certain things that have to stay on the plate. And there are other things that you go, okay, we're going to shelve that for a while, not forget about it, but take that pressure off so that when the timing's right, we can come back to it. So I love that while you teetered on the edge of burnout there for a while, which, hands up, we all have done and been there a few times, maybe more than we care to admit.
Yeah.
But that's why we do what we do and use all the skills that we have in order to go, all right, shit's hit the fan again. Now, how do we restructure things, but then keep coming back to alignment with who you are now? Because who you are now is still super different to who you were a year, 2 years ago.
Yeah, most definitely. And thank you for that reminder. I definitely did need to practice what I preach, and I'm so glad that I did, and I took that time for myself. And I opened up myself to that new opportunity as well of stepping into that leadership role at work, which I've realized probably isn't the path I want to take, but that's why I'm back coaching, because I know that's where my passion is. But I still love my colleagues and I'm back on the floor working with them rather than in a leadership role, which it feels really good. And yeah, I'm still out there in the trenches with you all, so I know exactly what's going on and the current challenges that you're all facing. Yeah, it can be a bit crazy at times. We work long hours. Well, I'm not going to go into it all because you all know what we do on a daily basis at work. But it is so important to look after ourselves. And yeah, I think if I hadn't have taken that time out, I've rearranged my priorities. Not that the podcast isn't a priority. I knew I'd always come back to it, but I just had other things that needed my immediate attention. So yeah, that was me, and that's where I've been. I've been off looking after my little family and yeah, getting some experience in management. But I realized that's not for me. And you know what? I'm okay with saying that it's not for me. And I think that's been a huge piece of this as well, because a lot of us have these kind of dreams of going up into leadership in nursing and management. And I kind of fell into the role, to be honest. It wasn't something I went looking for. And I thought, oh, why not? You know, I'm full about opportunities. I'm always curious. I thought, let's give this a crack. But yeah, I gave it a year and it's not for me. I want to lead in a different kind of way to how I was leading at work. So yeah,
Mm.
I
I
felt a bit kind of like I've been put in a box and I don't like being in a box. So yeah, I get free reign of what I'm doing when I'm coaching and podcasting.
Exactly. It's like, how could they put Elaina in a box?
Nobody puts Elaina in a box. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And I think it's really cool too, because, if you get into energetics and astrology and all of that cool stuff, then this year, 2024, is meant to be about big changes. It's meant to be about transformation. It's meant to be about those successes and reaping the rewards of past years' efforts. And I always like to, reflect on those things as, additional tool in the tool belt. We don't rely wholly and solely on it, but to be able to go, that's really cool. That makes a lot of sense. And for those listening, Elaina and I send all sorts of cool videos and memes and all sorts of stuff to each other to be like, listen to this, check this out. And we might sit here and share our stories and share our personal and professional tips and advice, but we also turn to one another. And that's something that I think is so just imperative for life to have. I always talk about having safe people and safe places where you can just be all of the parts and pieces of yourself. And the beautiful thing about Elaina and my relationship is that over the years, as much as we've changed and evolved and all of the things that we've gone through in our lives, there's never any judgment. There's always love and care, and there's no topic that we can't discuss. And it's that true sisterhood, which I think is really important, because life gets freaking hard and challenging, and not just in the professional capacity with what you guys are dealing with, but in your personal lives too. And sometimes the collaboration of that mess can tip you over the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if work's stressing you out, then whatever's going on at home can seem like it's 10 times worse. And if it's quite bad what's going on at home, it
Mm.
just makes it feel like it's completely overwhelming and unbearable at times. So yeah, I'm so, so glad to have you in my world, Michelle, and you've been an amazing support to me over the last 18 months. And I know you've been on your own journey too with things that you've been through. You've had some really exciting times in the last 18 months as well. If you follow Michelle's page, you'll all know what's been going on in Michelle's life. So yeah, it's awesome to see you celebrating these things in your life.
Oh, thank you, lovely. And to give those that aren't aware, I've recently gotten engaged to my partner, who completely surprised me. I had absolutely no idea it was coming, which was really beautiful because we've also been navigating some pretty heavy stuff as well, where my partner also got injured at work and has had to have spinal surgery, and Elaina has been one of those beautiful go-to pieces. And of course, being a theatre nurse and having all of that background and expertise, being able to talk me through everything and just, provide that viewpoint for, additional support. So I know that we've all got beautiful stuff and also really crappy stuff that happens, but it's all of it together that I always believe there's a silver lining in everything. So even with all the stuff that my partner and I have been going through, I can honestly say it's brought us closer together as a couple, which you've probably heard in previous podcasts with Elaina and myself, where I share very openly about some of my experiences in a previous relationship with domestic violence. And so to go from the lowest of lows in relationships, but also in life, to the complete opposite, what is it, 6 or 7 years later since I've got out of that one, Elaina? Something like that.
Something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. So it's just that reminder, I think, too, that we're not at the end of your story, wherever you are now, and whatever is feeling really hard or heavy to navigate. That's not the end of the story of your life. That's not the end of your book. It's just a chapter that you're moving through.
That's such an important piece to remember, because I know sometimes when you're stuck in that moment of overwhelm and you don't know which way to turn or what to do next, and you just think, what is going to happen? And there's a couple of times over the last 18 months, Michelle has texted me and she said, you've survived 100% of your worst days so far. You're going to survive this one too. And that has really stuck in my head. It's something that, yeah, I'm very grateful you kept reminding me of that when I was having my low points, Michelle. But it's so true. Like, we survive everything we have done to date. And that's how we've become the people we are. We grow through adversity and these challenges, and we have to. The irony is, you can't experience true joy without experiencing true pain. Life is all about duality. And if we were living a life with no pain, we would have to live a life with no joy. And it would be a very kind of mundane life if it was like that. We're humans, we have emotions, we go on this roller coaster with them. And I think it's something that we need to keep in the back of our minds when we are going through those really tough days. Excuse
I
me.
love I love that though. And it's so true. Like, you have survived 100% of your hardest days. And to me, it's that reminder of, you've got a 100% success rate. You're still here. Like, we've got this, even when it's tears or whatever is going on and it's just too much. We're really in that, freeze, total overwhelm. It's like, okay, right, have your moment, and then do the next piece. But like you said, if we didn't experience those hardships, it's like that old saying, the sweet doesn't taste sweet until we've tasted sour.
That's cool. Yeah, I haven't heard that one before, but that's really good. It's similar.
Mm.
We have to know one to know the other.
Yeah, yeah. And then I love memes and quotes and all of that cool stuff. And there's this one that is, I think it's called Little Panda. And they ask, what's more important, the journey or the destination? And the answer is the company. It's like, who is walking
I love that.
with
Yeah.
you? Yeah. And
Yeah.
and to me, I think that's such a potent thing, because we're always worried about where we're going, what we need to achieve, what we've got to do, goals, all this stuff that's going on, and whether it's pressure or expectation in personal life or professional life. But it's also that stopping to reflect and go, well, who's actually on this journey with me? And I like reflecting on that one often because, well, like Elaina and I have shared, we have been through some super highs and some really rock bottom lows in the last 18 months. And we're always there, only ever like a text message, phone call, or whatever else away. And I don't think there's anything that we haven't seen each other at in terms of different parts and pieces of ourselves. But that's the beautiful thing. Like Elaina said, I'll remind her that she'll survive this too. She's not alone. She's going to do this. But Elaina is always reminding me of compassion, always reminding me to be kinder to myself, and, brings such a beautiful softness to it. And so as you're listening, I'm really curious, like, who can you turn to? Who are your soul family, your tribe, whether it's, partner, friendships, family, work colleagues? Who are those people that you can actually be all of yourself with and not have to worry about censoring or how the other person's going to take it or anything along those lines?
Beautifully said. I was just thinking the same thing as I was listening to you. It's so important to know who your people are. So when you are having those moments of anxiety, angst, overwhelm, you don't even have to think, who am I going to call? You know who you're going to call. Who's going to be there to pick up the phone and to listen to you and to help you work through it, and know that they've got your back and they're not going to judge you. They're not going to use this against you in the future. It's those safe people in your life that will always, always be there for you. And it can be different people for different things. I mean, Michelle and I turn to each other often, but I've got other friends that I'll turn to for other things as well. And so does Michelle. So, we have other mentors in our lives too. So it doesn't have to be one person.
Yeah.
It could be a conglomerate of people.
And that's really important to point out too, because, and it's okay if it is the same person for you, that's totally fine. And to me, I always think that quality is more important than quantity. Like, I could count on my hands how many people I truly have in what I would call my inner circle, my go-to people. And to me, that is rich, really, really rich, because there'll be people listening that maybe are thinking, I don't have anyone. And it's not to look at yourself and judge yourself or go, well, why is that? What's wrong with me? Or anything along those lines. It's an opportunity to maybe create some space there for yourself to have those relationships, because you never know when they are going to come into your life. So as an example, Elaina and I met in a business group. We'd never met before, obviously, and we both signed up to do work with a specific business coach in a group coaching container, and we just clicked. And while it was awesome to get, some lessons and some learnings from that specific business coach and mentor. Bless her, she was wonderful. But to me, one of the most enriching parts of that was meeting Elaina and building a relationship that I had no clue was going to be a big deal all these years down the track. So being open to having that space in your life for those close relationships, but it does require a level of vulnerability. And Elaina, I know you're super big on vulnerability, so I'll let you sort of take the floor with that one.
It definitely does require vulnerability. And I'm just going to add an extra part to yours and I's relationship, Michelle, in that Michelle and I have never physically met. Michelle lives in Sydney and I live in Perth. We talk to each other most days, if not every other day at the most. And yeah, we've never physically met yet because the opportunity just hasn't arisen for us to do so. But it is going to soon, and we'll share that with you very soon. But yeah, it does require that vulnerability. And like, of course, Michelle and I were very vulnerable when we first established our friendship because I don't know Michelle. I don't know where she lives. I don't know, who this person is, where she's been. She doesn't know anything about me either. And we live on opposite sides of the world. And yeah, we did meet. It was pre-COVID, wasn't it? It wasn't during COVID. And we had intended to meet quite soon, but then of course COVID happened and we won't even go down that rabbit hole. So yes, but we are planning to meet this year in person. But yeah, vulnerability, it's something that a lot of people struggle with. I've struggled with it in the past. We all tend to walk around with our armor on, and we don't want to be seen as having any chinks in our armor or being weak or being opening ourselves up to some kind of heartbreak or disappointment. And I think one thing that I have learned through my journey with vulnerability is I've started to let go of expectations because expectations, I can't even get the words out today, I believe are one of the thieves of our joy, because if we're expecting stuff to happen or expecting someone to behave in a certain way, we oftentimes get hurt when they don't. And it can often be around family as well. And we've got expectations when it comes to families, and it's something that I've had to learn to let go of, because then you're not opening yourself up to heartbreak. And it helps with the vulnerability piece. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make perfect sense, because I think there's a fear of being seen as weak or having ridicule for, like you mentioned, like sharing the parts and pieces that maybe aren't so polished, maybe aren't the parts that you like as much about yourself either. But that's a part of being authentic and genuine and real, is there's going to be those pieces of you that are just messy and human, because life's messy, and being human means that we experience a broad range of things. But I love that piece around expectations too, Elaina, and I know you're so big on it, and it's such a perfect reminder, because we do have expectations of ourselves, of our family, our children, our partner, our work colleagues. Like, we have these expectations, and if they are not met, then we might get angry or frustrated or hurt or upset and let down. And I think that's where having really open, honest conversations are important, so that not only that you can be your full self, and let's face it, there are definitely circumstances where that's not the case. Like, you're not going to be bearing your soul potentially in your work environment all the time. That's not conducive of a healthy workspace. But those people that have earned your trust, that have earned that level of connection, then that's a little bit of a different story.
Brene Brown, who's the big advocate for vulnerability, she's the shame researcher. I've spoken about her heaps. She is based in Houston in the US. I think she's got one of the most watched TED Talks ever, her TED Talk on vulnerability. She talks beautifully about the trust element you were just talking about. And she likens to trust as being an empty jar. And every time someone does something small to make you think, oh, I could trust this person. Sorry, my Mac is making noises that it shouldn't. Yeah, so you've got this empty jar, and every time someone does something that you think, oh, I could actually quite trust them, you put a marble in the jar. And over time, this jar will fill up. Each person in your life will have one. And it's when you know who has the jars full of marbles, they're your people. They're the ones you can trust. They're the ones you can turn to. They're the ones you can be completely raw and real with. I mean, I phoned Michelle in floods of tears, knowing that she'll just be like, you're okay.
That's so true. And
yeah, and because I know I'm safe to be that complete version of myself. I don't have to try and be polished. Like you have no expectations of me on how I'm going to show up. And that's the beauty of these safe friendships. There is no expectation about how one or the other are going to show up. You just know that you're going to show up. And however you do show up, that other person will honor it for you.
exactly, because I always just want you to be the version of yourself that feels real in that moment. And that's what you want for me as well. So I think there's that beautiful level of acceptance of whoever you are right now is perfectly fine and acceptable. And I'm so glad you brought up Brené Brown because we love her. But I also think it's a valid point too, because with our story, living on the opposite ends of the country, there's a time difference, there's a space difference, but it doesn't always have to be the people that are in your close community, in that immediate network, who are actually going to be the people for you. Like Elaina was saying, years ago before we met, if someone had said to me, one of my best friends is going to live in Perth and I won't have met her for years and years and years on end, but we will talk every day, message all the time, jump on Zooms and things like that, I'd be like, what? And yet here we are.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty of technology, like the podcast that you're listening to today. It opens up doors and avenues for more ways to connect, more realness to enter in such a busy modern world that we all live in. Being able to create that space to connect, that is a game changer.
Yeah, and it could be a good kind of journal prompt, is what I'm thinking. Who do you have in your life that is a safe person? And if you're unsure about this, are there certain people in your life that you may want to get to know at a deeper level, that you've maybe been vulnerable with in the past, and they've been there and they've held space for you and they've had your back, and maybe it's these friendships that you want to try and nurture. Like Michelle said earlier, it's quality over quantity. And I think the older I've got, the more I've realized this. Because when you're young, you just want to be the social butterfly of all these friends, be doing all these cool stuff. And I'm off with these people today, and I'm off with that people next week. And, but I think as you get older and life gets busy and time becomes very precious, because time is a precious resource, we have to start investing in those people that we know will invest back in us. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of our friendship, Michelle.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's Tony Robbins that is the man that says the top 5 people that we interact with the most we become like. And I've heard Paul Chek add on to that quote by saying, do they have areas in their lives that you want to emulate in some way? Like, are they helping you level up, become the better version of yourself in some way, shape, or form? Do you look at elements of themselves or their life and you would like to emulate it in some way? Maybe it's their compassion and their kindness and the way that they care for other people. Maybe it's the way they've leveled up financially or career-wise, or the interrelationships that they have. Maybe they've got such a beautiful marriage that you would like to emulate, or relationship with their children. Like, when you look at the people that are in your life, are they raising you up? Are they holding you to a high standard? Because it's so easy to lower ourselves down. It's easier to lower our vibration and frequency and just be less than. But it's those quality people in our life that go, hey, I love you and I care about you, but you are playing it safe right now, or you are not leveling up the way you should, or, having those conversations. And I'm going to share, quite honestly, Elaina and I have these plenty of times. We will call each other on our shit with so much love and kindness, but also a nice little kick in the ass at the same time.
Yeah, I know if the message starts from Michelle, I'm just going to lovingly remind you. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm about to get my arse kicked. But she's always right and on point, and I love you for that, because you don't let me play small, you don't let me hide away. You're like, you need to be out there doing this, come on. And I'm like, I know. Yeah, that's your quote. I'm just going to lovingly remind you.
Yeah, and that's when you know you're about to get an ass kick. Whereas you will lean into, I'm just going to compassionately, you always talk about, and just using kindness.
Oh, see,
Like, right, I'm about to get a reminder that I really need right now.
yeah, but this is the beauty of our friendship. We know we can say these things to each other.
And to me, that is more valuable than 20, 30, 40 friendships, right? Having real relationships. When we talk about there might only be a few people, I honestly think I've probably got about 7 or 8 people in my inner circle that are my people. Outside of that, it's just going to be people that I work with, or, our acquaintances, or whatever you want to call it. But there's only a few people that ever qualify to get into the inner circle. And maybe you're feeling like you don't have anyone. And I want to just point that out because, like Elaina mentioned at the start, I work predominantly in trauma. And what I see a lot with trauma recovery and, just mental health and wellness care in general is that a lot of people come to me and they don't have those real relationships. They don't have those safe people and safe places to be able to turn to. And that's where the coaching space, the therapy space, that mindfulness space, the things that Elaina and I and countless others like ourselves offer to the world is so powerful, because that can be the first stepping stone into having a safe relationship that then allows you to move out into the world and find those people that are supposed to be in that inner tribe. I don't think there's any shame in having those professional people as your go-to people as well. In fact, to me, that is just the smart and wise thing to do, to have experts that are qualified, have the tools, have the capacity, have the know-how to be able to turn to. So if you are one of those people listening going, yeah, I don't have any of this in my life, Please note, I've been there myself, and I know how that feels to only have yourself to rely on, knowing that there's no cavalry coming, there's no one, there's just myself. So please know that I feel that from a very personal space, but also know, once again, that's not the end of your story. And I sit here chatting away to Elaina decades down the track in my personal and professional journey, and I still have professionals in my bubble. I still do coaching, I still do therapy, I still do breath work, mindfulness, wellness care, like all of the things that we talk about. We don't just talk about it for funsies and because we're interested in it. We talk about it because this is how we live our life. This is what Elaina and I live and breathe.
That's a beautiful reminder. And although we've got each other, we are friends, and we will sometimes say, I'm going to put my coach hat on and I'm going to say, or Michelle will go, I'm going to lovingly remind you, and then kick my ass. But we do, like, we honor our friendship, and we don't really cross that line because we know each other knows what we know, and we can just say a couple of sentences and and we get it. Whereas last year, I actually invested in a psychologist. I saw my psychologist every fortnight for a year, and he was the most amazing guy and the most amazing resource. And some nights I felt like we were just having a chat, but it was a therapeutic chat. And, he was asking me the right questions. And yeah, it's having those people in your life. Other things I did last year when I was struggling, because I was having health issues as well. I have this whole autoimmune thing going on that I haven't really shared with everyone, but I'm much better now. We got on top of it, but I've done things like I have been going to the sauna and the ice bath 2 to 3 times a week. I do practice what I preach. I've been meditating. I took myself off on retreat with one of my other friends to Indonesia twice last year too, just to kind of regroup, rebreath, like just recharge, and come back a whole different version of myself again. So it is about investing in the professionals and in those resources. And I know it's not always easy, but you can get some help from the government for some specialists. But yeah, investing in yourself is so important, just so that you can turn up as the best version of yourself. And you're feeling supported. And this isn't self-promotion. Like, I'm advocating for you to go and invest however you feel fit, and invest with who feels like a good fit for you. And sometimes you have to try a couple to find them. But Michelle and I, we do practice what we preach, and we do invest in our therapists and holistic health practitioners. And you do ice baths too, don't you, Michelle? Yeah, see, yeah, see. We do these crazy things, but it's so good. I can't believe how good the ice baths are, actually. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's so good. And I think it's powerful too, what you were saying about trying the professionals to find the right fit for yourself. So like Elaina was saying, finding the right psychologist to help support her. And I've got a counselor and hypnotherapist that I see for myself. There are people that, because I always think it's wise, because like Elaina and I've said, we will put our coach hats on when need be, and take the friend hat off and the coach therapist hat on, and do what we've got to do. But at the same time, we do need to have those people that are not in our worlds, that can have that non-biased view. They're not emotionally entangled to any particular outcome, so they can just be that neutral zone and give you some other tools and techniques that can help you navigate the waters that you're in. So like Elaina said, we're never going to push people in our direction, but it's more go out into the world and find who resonates with you. And if you're trying something and it's not working, try something else. You know, there are so many types of therapy, healing work, mindfulness work, wellness care. It's not a one size fits all. It's a let's try as much as we can. And then from a really centered place of experience rather than just thinking something, you know what does and doesn't work for you.
I found that because I had to try a couple of psychologists before I found one that I really resonated with. And in the end, I found one who has a lot of similarities in their life that I have in mine. And I think there was that understanding of what was going on. So it's going out there and being vulnerable and trying it. You know, we're going back to that vulnerability a bit again. But it is important to have people in your life that have got your back. And whether that's personal or professional, like Michelle said earlier, you know, loneliness is a massive factor in our mental health crisis. I don't know if any of you have read Johann Hari's Lost Connections, but he talks about how we've all become so disconnected at so many levels, like personally, community level, family wise. And he breaks it down into, I think it's 7 different lost connections that we have. And like they've done trials and they've shown that people who've got this community around them, they've managed to successfully come off of antidepressants and medications and things because they know they've got that safe space, that security. It goes back to Maslow's again, and I know I preach about Maslow's all the time, and you're probably going to get a lot of that because one of my units at uni this semester has got a lot of Maslow content, so bear with me if I start talking about Maslow all the time.
That's fine. We'll do another one on Maslow's, and you know I'm so big on polyvagal that we know we're going to go there as well. Just do a whole
Yeah.
session on it.
It's just that basic need of feeling safe, you know?
Yes.
We all have it. We all need to feel safe.
Yes, I love that.
And drum roll, please. Michelle and I think you probably, if you follow us, you may already have got the memo, but we are going to be hosting a retreat this year, maybe more than one. We've got great plans. I think the first one's going to be over your way in the Hunter Valley. We're just securing a venue at the moment. But once that venue's secured, look out because tickets are going on sale and there's been a lot of interest. So we're really, really excited. We've created this amazing program. We've had the program created for about 6 months. Life keeps throwing these curveballs at us and we have to keep postponing it. But now's the time. We're both very excited. So Michelle's doing all the groundwork that I'm very grateful for, finding the venue in New South Wales. I'll let you share a bit more about all that, Michelle.
I know it's going to be really exciting. So we're really focusing on that women's rejuvenation and everything that we've been talking about with, you know, just wellness care, but also creating those real connections. Because with the highs and the lows that just Elaina and I personally have gone through, and not even just in the last 18 months, but over years and decades of life, we've put together everything that has impacted us the most and changed our lives for the better, and have put it together in a 2-night retreat. And yes, we're looking at the beautiful Hunter Valley in New South Wales, which is really exciting. And so obviously we'll give you guys more details around all of that, but the whole idea for us was to create something for all of you that would be that game changer, that would be that ultimate experience. And essentially we created what we wanted and wished we had back when we were going through some of the toughest stuff in our lives, and put together everything that just impacted us so profoundly, and just went, you know what? We want you guys to experience what we've experienced. We want you guys to have these beautiful adventures with us, and to help you in a way that we have previously not been able to offer.
It was so funny, that moment when we were writing the content one of those days last year, and I went, I want to go on this retreat.
Exactly. It's like that's why we did it. It's like, oh my God, I wish that I'd known that something like this existed years ago, because I would have bought a ticket at like pre-sale.
I was like, whoa, I want to go on this. And I'm like, oh, I am.
I love that. That was great though.
It was fun. Yeah, but we've put together awesome content. It's not too overwhelming. We've broken it up with lots of we will go deep, and then we'll come back up and we'll do some meditation and some breath work and mindfulness, and then we'll go back down deep again into the cognitive stuff and all the other things that we've got in store. Between us, Michelle and I have got this wealth of experience and qualifications, so we're bringing it all with us. We're going to offer it all to you, and you can participate in as much or as little as you want, although we will encourage you to participate in as much as you can. But yeah, the venues are going to have extras on them as well, so it's not just going to be Michelle and I you get to experience. We're having it in these really high quality venue that's going to have lots of extra facilities around too. So we're not going to give you too much today.
Yeah, we'll just give you some sneak peeks, knowing that you're going to get education, but more importantly, you're going to get some real lived in experiences that will be some really beautiful memories to look back on in your life.
And I also want to say, because obviously this is the Happy Nurse podcast, this is not just for nurses, this is for everyone. So those of you listening, I know most of my listeners are nurses. You can bring your buddies that aren't nurses with you. You know, this is open to everyone, but we are going to make it female only, the first one. So sorry, guys, we're not being sexist. We just want to create this safe container for women.
Yes. And like you said, we're going to open it up as we go, but we have a strong call to provide women with a safe space that Elaina and I have both needed throughout some of our own personal challenges, and giving back to all of you who are going to, and maybe do right now, need that same thing. So it's going to be a lot of beautiful feminine energy.
Yes, lots and lots of empowered feminine energy. Yes, yes, yes. It's going to be very exciting. But you're going to look at another venue next week, aren't you? Yeah, we've got a few to choose from, and we're going to make the decision soon, and you will all know about it when we do. Don't worry.
Very cool.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap things up for today. I've just realized we've been talking for an hour, so you guys are all probably thinking, okay, she's back. Thank you so much for listening. It's so good to be back recording, and thank you so much, Michelle. I love our chat, and Michelle's going to be a regular on the podcast. The episodes might be a bit sporadic when they first start coming out again, but if you subscribe to the podcast, you will get a notification when I release a new episode. But I am hoping to get it up and running to weekly very, very soon. So thank you, everyone. Take care out there. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you for listening to the Happy Nurse podcast. If you've enjoyed today's content and would like to join the Happy Nurse community, head over to Facebook and check out the Happy Nurse AU Facebook page and request to join the Happy Nurse community. Also, check out happynurse.com.au for access to free downloads and subscription to my blog. See you soon.
And in the meantime, remember to always offer yourself the same compassion that you so freely give to others.